Thanks for joining me. I'm so happy to have you on. We met a long time ago, back in 2009, through someone that I knew that worked for him at that time. So Andy owns over 30 locations, Anytime Fitness locations. He's been in the franchise business for quite some time. He's been the franchisee of the year several times over, competing with over 4,000 locations globally. And he owns several base camp studios, which focus on high intensity and low impact group training. And is also recently owner of Gym Members Now, which is a done for you marketing platform to drive leads to your gym. Andy, man, like I said, so glad to have you here, man.
It's been a while, buddy. Yeah, back in 2009, right? So what are we, 13 years out? Yeah, still remember meeting you at Panera Bread for that first time to kind of put your business on the map, kind of get you going to my clubs, and it was great. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great start for me. You helped me grow my business, and I think it was a good partnership along the way. Nonetheless, we've developed a great friendship over the years. But I think the listeners, the big thing that I wanted to kind of pull out of you, because you've got so much information and you've had so many experiences over time. A lot of these gym owners and a lot of people that get into this business, the hardest part is just starting. It's kind of like working out. I mean, once you start, you kind of get into a rhythm and you get going. But starting is the hardest part for a lot of these business owners. So I want to just kind of preface it a little bit, like a little bit about what it looked like growing up. I mean, you don't necessarily have like this, uh, trust fund baby, money pot that took from and then picked up a bunch of locations and all of a sudden had this, MBA at Harvard. I mean, you're just a smart guy and you learned along the way. So talk a little bit about your childhood experience and kind of what things look like.
Yeah, I would even preface smart as a kind of an overstatement. It's more perseverance and grit. Yeah, my great childhood, great parents, right? Support me, give the world to me. I didn't have a ton of money. We never grew up with money, but grew up with a lot of love around my family, a lot of support. I wasn't the best kid in high school. I managed to graduate, but barely. Luckily, I kind of got put on the right path from there. So my mom, she worked at a technical college, and she got me strained out a little bit. And I did start doing a little bit of college, but I loved work. I worked at Pizza Hut of Southern Wisconsin, Pizza Hut franchisee. Worked there for 13 years, from high school all the way to when I started my very first gym. And yeah, I didn't come from money. I didn't, it wasn't handed. I saved up a little bit of cash, scrapped up what I could, and was able to somehow get a loan, for that business. But I had to save some damn money, man. And yeah, I was able to start my own business by scrapping up, as much cash as I could. And the bank luckily gave me a little bit of cash to start that very first one back in 2006. So, from there, it's been a ride, man. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely been a ride. We were able to grow it and scale it with a lot of challenges along the way.
What you talk about that a bit, but what was it that, because some people, like, to your point, you didn't get all the way through college. You had a little taste of it. You worked at Pizza Hut. Um, but a lot of times people have this vision, either idealistically through family or friends or whoever's put something in their brain, and they're kind of like follow that path over time. What was it that you, I guess, wanted to be when you grew up? I mean, what were you kind of like planning, or how did you kind of get into this? Like, I'm gonna own a gym. I'm gonna own a fitness business.
Great question. When I was at Pizza Hut, I really started to get an itch for business, running business, leading people. That's where I kind of found out that I was good at that. And at the same time, my passion was always working out. I loved getting to a gym. That was my release. That's what I enjoyed. And, working at Pizza Hut kind of taught me how to run a business and lead people. And I kind of knew, pretty young in my career at Pizza Hut that I wanted to take that and do something in the fitness business. I even, while I was going to college, I was going to technical college. I was going to transfer and go to physical therapy school and become a physical therapist. Just to kind of get in that training realm, kind of stay in the gym. But At the same time, man, business kind of, I like grit. I like working. I like money. I like making money. That was very tangible to me. And when I learned that, leading people was something I enjoyed, I thought it'd be pretty powerful to kind of put that together and start looking around for my own opportunity to start my own gym.
Yeah, I know. I remember at one point you were talking about a book that you had read from, was it General Motors, General Electric? Uh,
Oh, Jack Welsh. That was way back. Yep. Yep. Straight from the gut. Yeah. That was a long time ago.
so, for him, it was also about leadership, perseverance, and grit. And uh, he had some specific metrics on how he measured and managed people. I don't think you used the same metrics he used, but because his were his were pretty harsh.
They're pretty ruthless. You fire 10% of your staff each year, right? Bottom 10, no matter what. Yeah. Especially today, man. That'd be rough. But it sets those standards. Right? It talks about setting those standards high, at least, and understanding it's all about people and all about the great people that are going to take your business.
So would you say it's more about what you're doing, or more about what the people are doing in your business, or kind of how you coach them? Because it takes a leader, obviously. I mean, if everybody's doing their own thing, and you're going to end up with a sloppy mess. But how do you kind of really hone in and guide them? Because I remember at the beginning when we were when I just had started with you, you had a handful of gyms. It was 2009. I think you had maybe 4 or 6, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
um, and now you're at 30. And I even saw from a leadership perspective the change and transition and how you grew as a business entrepreneur and how you scaled your business, because you made some very clear changes in what you were doing. And it was precise, to say the least. So what things are you continuing to do to make those precision uh, adjustments as you grow? Because I mean, your business has never faltered. You've continued to grow, and I mean, you're even now in other businesses. So tell me kind of what that looks like for somebody.
I think it kind of changes as you scale your business, right? The decisions you make, and who you surround yourself with kind of expands and contracts a little bit, right? When you're new, you're young, your hands are all over everything. You can be in your one or two gyms, spend 40 hours a week, right in there, seeing every operation. And as you expand, you got to empower and trust the people around you. And that's the one thing. That's kind of one of the skills I took from Pizza Hut, where I was able to kind of ensure that I had a great culture, entrepreneurial culture of people that wanted to grow, give them the freedom to grow. Put my hands around the gyms and the people in the beginning, but at the same time, as you're scaling, you need to give that freedom to your team, so they can have that ownership. That's the best thing you can have as a team of leaders that have just close to just as much ownership in your business as you do. No one will ever love your baby like yourself, right? But if you give your people the right environment and the right culture, they can get darn close. And that's something that I've always believed in. And as you scale, that gets even more crucial to making good, precise decisions. Is not always being that person to make the decision, having that team around you as you get bigger, to where you're trusting multiple views, going through it, making a decision as a team. That's when I found, especially as I've grown, that better decisions were made and ensured the continuity of the business.
Someone I spoke with not long ago, he had a software company, and he also had a couple of fitness businesses. But I asked him what was his kind of like the change maker in his business, and he said it was when he hired an assistant. He had an executive assistant that would do the thing, take the what I call like the C&D items off his plate. Things are at the bottom level, emails, task. What is it for you? Because I also, that's a fear, I think, for a lot of people. They go, oh, I want to. I hear it all the time too, and you probably hear it too. People want to. They open a gym and they have one location that does well, and they go, I want to open two, and then they want a franchise. They got 3 or 4 or 5, and they start getting outside of their scope because some of the little things in the beginning weren't fixed. Um, you talk about allowing others to go ahead and make some of those decisions, but when is the right time to do that? When was it for you, I guess?
It's I think it's yeah, for me, it's kind of when you get to that, immediately I'd always kind of bring people in, have conversations, but I had a small team when I only had one, two, three locations. So, a lot of the times, it's always like, all right, guys, let's talk about this. Here's my idea. And everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? So I'd always get buy-in and go, right? Once I got to where I had a couple area managers, that's where more I empowered them to bring the ideas to me. Okay, to where it's like, okay, I don't want to be the one always bringing the idea to the table and having cheerleaders behind me saying, "Yeah, let's do it." That's not how you're going to scale to that next level. Yeah, you need the people to bring the ideas to you to help you be thinking on their feet, be thinking a step ahead of you, creating leaders that can actually get in front of you, or how are you going to take your business to that next level. And I'd say I kind of started getting that down when I got in the double digits for locations. I started getting better at that. Probably should have gotten a little better at it earlier. It probably would help me grow a little faster. But I was kind of forced to, once I was getting to, I had two to three area managers. When I was trying to bring everything to the table, they'd get used to that, and it just got to be too much where things might have been getting missed. I'm not in those clubs quite as much because I'm kind of spread out a little more, where I may not be seeing what's exactly happening on the ground. And that's where you got to have those people that and that culture of your business to ensure that those great ideas, that feedback is coming up to you, and people aren't just waiting for you as a leader to make every decision, because it's going to bury you the bigger you get, without a doubt.
Would you say that it's as you're growing? So we'll just take your, first two locations, three locations, because you were really kind of running the show at that point in time. You were the area manager, you were the general manager, you were selling memberships and personal training at at let's say three locations, or is there a number for it that you go, okay, I'm making X amount in revenue. I can put X amount in my pocket. If I want to go open another location, I'm going to put even less in my pocket next year because I'm going to take a step back. But that step backward is going to give me two more steps or three more steps forward. Is that kind of how it works?
That's a good way to look at it. I was moving so fast, I never even stopped to count the cash in my pocket, right? Yeah, that's where sometimes I got in a little trouble where I signed three leases and didn't have the money to fund the gyms. And I just figured it would come to me, I'd figure it out. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if when you're scaling, there's times where just sitting on one location, I could have, definitely probably cash flowed much more than when I'm scaling and continually growing. My goal was just to create something big. I love growing things. I love, you know, creating opportunities for people. I never had this laid out master plan. I never had this, every step laid out. I was just kind of a seat in my pants operator that scaled, and you know, but yeah, it absolutely, you're taking steps back to take steps forward, right? You're reinvesting, you're taking that capital and putting it back in that business. One of the best things I ever did in hindsight, it wasn't every dollar wasn't planned though to do that. I knew, creating the best possible experience, investing in the best clubs and investing in the best people would create a phenomenal experience that would grow their brand and help me get more locations open and help me get more members at every location. But it wasn't a precisely mapped out plan, right? We were going fast and furious, and it worked out great.
That's good. So I would say, if I'm just, surmising the best of what you've given so far is like, if you're out there and you're trying to grow, don't be so analytical about your growth plans, because if you are, you're going to stifle your opportunities. Would that be
Absolutely.
pretty accurate? I mean, because you even mentioned like you had a couple times when
Yeah.
you sign in too many leases and you didn't have the money to handle it. So, but you figured it out along the way.
Three of my best clubs today, though, those three clubs that I signed, three of my best clubs today.
Hell of a good thing you did
Almost
then.
never got open, right? Yeah, you don't have paralysis by overanalysis, right? To where it's like you take so long to make a decision that you're losing out on opportunity. Get as much data. Definitely don't just fly blind, but get as much data as you can. know, kind of trust some analytics, look at some stuff, trust your gut, know if you're going to make it happen, and then be that guy that's going to make it happen with a great team behind you. You know, yeah, action is what gets stuff done. It's sitting and talking and planning. That's all fluff, right? I mean, it's good. You need to have a little bit of a plan, but it's like, what are the action steps? I mean, that's where the money's made, and that's where productivity happens is when you take action. I love to plan a little bit, but I'm more like, all right, we got it, let's go. Sometimes I'm point, shoot, and aim, but I'd rather than aim all day and wait for that perfect shot. You're not gonna gain anything, right?
No, you're 100% correct. And I remember even there were times when, if we were grabbing a workout, you'd be on your phone, uh, and your phone would ding, and it was something that needed to be answered right away, or not necessarily something that needed to be answered right away, but regardless, it was always the response from you is almost immediate. I mean, you wouldn't hesitate, and it may not be. And talk about that a second, because the decision making, I think, for a lot of owners, they have this like, okay, well, if I do this, then maybe this outcome. If I do this, then maybe this outcome. But your decisions are almost always, from knowing you, and I don't know if it's still this way today, but it's like boom, it's now. What would you say that that's still
Yeah,
pretty
my,
common for
my
you?
team my team slows me down a little. First, let me comment on one thing. I'm much better now. In my workouts, my hour. I'm trying to turn that damn phone off. So 90% of that time, that phone isn't on me during my workouts, man. That's my hour. Um, but yeah, I still am very impulsive is not the right word, but it's I can't stand sitting in a room and planning for hours on end. It's like, okay, what are we trying to get done? We got an hour, and then we're gonna go. And we're gonna start implementing. My team slows me down. Sometimes I don't think through the people impact of change. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Boom, let's go. When I have a team of 160, 170 employees, I got to think through, the repercussions it's going to have on that. So I got a great team around me that understands, and I kind of understand to listen to them a little bit when I do got to slow down just a little to make sure that we don't lose some great people because we're moving too fast. But at the same time, we're not going to move too slow where we miss opportunities. So it's having that right balance, right? But I'm not a big believer in planning for weeks and months. It's let's get the plan, let's get it going. You don't have to have the perfect plan to take action, right? You can perfect the plan as you're moving forward. I'm a big believer in that. Always have been.
That's really good, sound advice for a lot of people, because I think too many people, like I said, they plan too much and they really don't get anywhere. You know, what would you have you had? Do you feel like you've had a failure? Do you feel like you've had a gym that just didn't make it, or you had to get rid of it, or it's something that's your lost leader, or it really should just be not there and you got to get rid of it?
Yeah.
So what is that? I mean, what's that?
Yeah, I acquired a couple gyms in a market. The guy was about to shut them down, ran them in the ground. And I picked them up, and they weren't operated well. And a competitor came in and kicked them in the shorts even worse. And I picked those two clubs up, and I tried to flip those clubs for years, and we did a great job. We turned them around. We over doubled the membership, but it still wasn't enough to get it going. And I held on for so long, thinking, I beat myself up, lost a lot of money holding on to both. When really, I knew probably a couple years in that it was a one club market, right? The town was not big enough to support two gyms. So I had to consolidate those gyms into one, and it was just a few years ago I did that. Very first time I've ever had to do it. Should have been done probably not just a couple years ago. It should have been done 5, 6 years ago.
Because you knew it when
Definitely.
you bought it, essentially.
When I bought it, I questioned it, right? And then I just kept holding on, man. I kept holding on because I didn't want to fail. I thought, oh, closing a gym. I can't close a gym. We can make this work. Let's just, let's get some great people and let's overstaff it and just kill people with kindness and just drown the market with money. It wasn't the right answer, right? Very, very expensive lesson to learn is don't let emotions get too much in the way of good business decisions. Do sometimes the tougher thing, it just needs to be done. You got to just get that emotion out of it. I had people over the years, other gym owners tell me, why would you have two gyms in this market? And I'm like, oh, I can do anything. I got 30 clubs. You know what I mean? Club operator of the year 3 times. Yeah. that ego gets in the way and that emotion gets in the way, and bad decisions can be made. So yeah, I've had to shut a couple gyms down, or consolidate them. Just a little overbuilt. Sold a couple gym. One gym was a little out, a little out of our out of the way for us, so it just didn't get the attention it deserved and never really made a buck for us. Sold it to a great operator, and she's doing phenomenal today. So yeah, we've had to make some good tough decisions that were the right decisions for the overall infrastructure and business, though, and definitely have us on a much more better financial position not having those dogs. So without a doubt.
So know your wheelhouse. I know some other operators, and they operate in that zone where they have, for example, you have most of your clubs. I would say what, an hour and a half driving distance maximum from your central location, from where your primary office is.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you don't really go
Yep.
beyond that, right?
No, not yet. And I don't have any plans to either. It's been tight. That's kind of why I got into the base camp fitnesses, because I can't really fit any more anytime fitness clubs within this hour, right?
Right.
So
So now, I look at some other operators, and what they do is they'll have locations states away, not an hour and a half
yeah.
driving distance. They might have more locations, or that just might be the way that they operate. But to your point, I think it's don't bite off more than you can chew, in a sense where what you can handle. I mean, you've already learned
Yep.
through your experiences, your your known success zone is that radius, because you know what you can control in that radius. And beyond that, you start, dabbling in a new territory where you got to start figuring new stuff out again, and the formula changes.
And there are some great operators that do that extremely successfully, right? I just did, I like being local. I like being able to drive to something. So I've kind of contained my business, when it comes to my physical plant business, not my gym members now business, but my physical plant business. I've made that choice today to contain it to, hour and a half drive from here. And it made me diversify a little bit, which is not a bad thing either, right? Getting in the boutique business with my base camp fitnesses. I've gotten in the real estate business. Now our marketing and gym consulting company, gym members now, but that's more of it's not a plant and more. It's not a physical plant business. So that's a little bit different, where we can help people virtually. So that kind of works. But having that physical plant where we're serving customers face to face, I like to be able to drive there. My real estate, I like to be able to, drive to the buildings that I own to make sure that I like running A+ facilities, and I like to be able to see it, feel it with my own two hands anytime I want.
Yeah, I think that's a really good perspective on somebody who's running a service business, and you're providing, a service where there's people involved in that interaction. It's not just a product. Um, that makes a big difference, I think. So, I had a couple questions here that I think are extremely valuable, and I get this a lot. So, what are the top three things you would say gym owners, okay, whether they're, doesn't matter where they're at, in their growth stage, but what are the top three things they can focus on today to grow their business? Okay, I know you probably have more than three, but give me the top
Well,
three. Like, where would you start?
so many gym owners, especially new gym owners, the biggest mistake they make is they focus on all the soft things that really don't make a shit. They focus on, what equipment should I pick up? What should I do this? What color should this wall be, when they're running their pre-sale, versus how do I get a damn member in the door? And that is something, as a gym owner, you need to focus on 24/7 for your gym career, is driving members in your door. That is something that I look at every day. I look at every week. I meet with my people every week on. It is such a crucial thing that can never change. No matter how good of an operator you are, you're going to have attrition. Okay. The second thing is building a phenomenal team to minimize that attrition. Okay. Don't discount that. You drive the people in, but make sure you have a phenomenal product when they come in, so they're staying. Another huge mistake people make, first mistake they make, is they don't worry about driving their business in. The next mistake people make is they spend a bunch of money driving their business in. Then they have shitty service or a dirty facility, or they don't have the programming to take care of the members that are coming in. Okay. So focusing on that, having that right team, that's going to be able to service those people that you're driving in. Those are two things you need to focus on as a gym owner the entire time you have a gym open, and that needs to be your number one and number two focuses, yeah, to ensure that you're going to be successful in the long term. And then the third thing I think, in the gym industry, in the fitness industry, it is competitive. Everyone wants to get into it. I don't blame them. It is a phenomenal industry. We're helping people get healthy. We're changing lives. It's great. We have great team members that want to come work with us. It's a phenomenal business. It really is. But with as much competition's coming in, you need to have grit and perseverance. I know I've said that a few times throughout, but it is not a open it, set it, and forget it type of business. You're going to have your tough times. You're going to have competition come in, and you're going to have some stress, right? So you got to make sure that you have that grit and perseverance to fight through those tough times and ensure you keep pivoting, to ensure you're providing your gyms, doing everything you can to keep your gyms alive, because it's never been more competitive than it is today, and that's not going to change in this industry.
Yeah, those are really, really good points. And the thing that you mentioned at the beginning about, like, having the right people to make the sale, so you driving leads in. I think, yeah, if anybody is listening to this, check out Gym Members now, because they do a phenomenal job of, like, driving leads to your gym. I mean, that's a great way to start,
Absolutely.
especially if you don't know anything about marketing. They've got the formula. But talking about that, I've talked with people and they go, "Well, I don't want to sell anybody. I don't want to be salesy." And I think the easiest thing to overcome that thought process, and I'm sure I almost positive you have the same mindset, is it to me, it's never been a sale. It's just influencing people to make a better decision about their health. Because, you know, a large percentage of people, at least in the US, are overweight or obese, and they can continue making horrible, shitty decisions, but they're there now. They're with you now. You're not selling them. You're just helping them make a better choice, which is paying usually less than a buck a
Yes.
day or a little over a buck a day to be a member. And then they got to get the right programming. So uh, I don't know if you see that, but
All the time. We can't help. Yep, yep. We got, it's 100%. We want to help that person. We don't want to sell that person. We want to help them. How bad do you want to help them? It's not how bad do you want that sale. It's like, how bad do you want? Can you help Susie if she joins your gym? How bad then do you want to help her? How bad do you want to help Susie? Right? It's not a sale. It's we know we can help you and we want to do it. People avoid fitness. People avoid, most people avoid anything that takes them out of their comfort zone a little bit. So you don't have to sell them. You have to convince them that we are going to help them. And once you get a salesperson to make that mind shift change, yeah, we don't want to hire salespeople. We don't want to hire used car sales people that are just that want to make a sale. We want to hire people that are passionate when someone walks in that door that they want to change their life. Those are the people that are the most successful in the gym industry, that have that mindset, because they don't want to let someone walk out that door, because they know they're that passionate that they are going to help that person and they care about that person more than that gym's going to next door, right? And if you feel that way, you better do everything you can, unless that person is not a fit for your gym, like a physical or something, like you cannot, if you truly believe you can help that person, okay, there's going to be 10-20% of those people that might walk through your door that you can't. 80% of them, though, you can help, and you are probably going to do the best. You can put that in your hands to do that. When people make that mind shift change and they understand that, that's when a gym truly flourishes, and you have a great club culture, and you have members coming in, giving you hugs, buying you cake, bringing you cookies. Even though we live in the fitness industry, right? We all, it's a great thing, man. It's such a great community when people make that mind shift.
yeah, you got some great clubs there, man. So, to that point, also with people coming in the gym, them being a member, them being successful in their, I see there as parallel. It's not just business. I see parallel in people exercising too, because to me, it's really no different. I mean, if you're consistent with your exercise and you're consistent with your nutrition, it requires consistency and it requires a little bit of grit if you're not used to that stuff and getting out of your comfort zone. And then you become successful in your own body. But and the same is true for business. So typically, most successful people that I know, at least the ones that I know, okay, there might be other successful people that I don't know that don't do this, but They usually have a set routine and they're extremely consistent. Okay. What does that routine look like for you? Because I think a lot of people who are listening to this, they want to know, okay, Andy Gunlock does these things. If I follow that pattern, that formula, can I get similar results or the same results if I do that long enough? So what is that for you?
You know what? I'm gonna refer you back to a book that I recommend everyone. I read a book recently. It's called The 5 a.m. Club, um, and it kind of paralleled my routine. Yeah, kind of what I've always done, what I've done for years, Michael. Since me and you used to catch workouts all the time, right? So it's the book's called The 5 a.m. Club, which coincidentally I've always gotten up at 5 a.m. And it talks about working on yourself spiritually, physically, mentally, and keeping basically having a routine in the morning to where you are priming yourself for the day, right? So that's what I do. My phone does not get turned on, all right, until 7 a.m. So from 5 to 7, I'm already getting a workout in. I just do my cardio at home. I do some lifting at the gym a little later, but 5 a.m. I get some cardio in. I get some meditation in. I get in my sauna and I journal. And the great journal that I recommend to everyone, if you're not into journaling, I try. Everyone said journal. Pick up a pen and a blank book. What I don't know what I'm going to do. The 5 minute journal. Okay, it's called the 5 minute journal. It maps it out a morning and then it takes 5 minutes a day and it maps out. It gives you gratitude. What's going to make today a great day? It maps it out and it is such a great routine for visualization and journaling. It's for it. I don't want to say it's a beginner journal, but if you've never journaled before, get the 5 a.m. The 5 minute journal. So, I get my journaling done, I get my workout done, I get my sauna done, I get my meditation done, and then my phone can go on, right? Then I got my breakfast, get on my phone. That's when I start my day. I start my day at my house, right? I'm knocking out some emails, I'm planning my day, getting stuff ready, get a lift in at the club, and then it's back to the office for business. And each day, I kind of focus more on my business, right? You want to make sure you're working on your business. To take some time every day, no matter if you have one club or just planning your club, work on your business, right? So have a plan, get some of that done, but plans got to be actionable. So make sure you're taking action each day too. So after I kind of get my own personal time done in the morning, then it's all on to my business. But I make sure to carve out that time for myself. That routine, that is my 6 day a week routine. Sundays, I might take a little break from the gym. I still get my journaling, still get my sauna, still get my meditation. But the 5 a.m. club, man. Yep. Sundays, it depends on if I have a few beers on Saturday night. It might be the 6 a.m. club on Sunday morning. Um, but yeah, that's been my routine. And it's just, I read that book coincidentally, just 100% coincidentally. I'm like, oh, I might pick up something new. And it was kind of spot on with what I've always done. So yeah, there's gurus out there that'll tell you this and that, but that has been a phenomenal routine for me. I've done it for years, and that book will kind of put it in perspective. And the one thing that the book helped me tighten up a little bit was staying off that phone. There's times where 5 a.m. I grab my phone quick, check a couple emails. I'm not down to the gym till 5:30, blocking stuff out. So that book, I don't even look at that phone now until 7 a.m. And that's kind of the one big nugget I got out of that book is don't touch that phone till 7 a.m. till I got everything done. But yeah, it's a great morning routine to get into, and it's just helped me immensely over the years. Just kind of prep myself for the day.
That's that's super awesome. And when I think through, I was going to ask you, like, do you meditate? Do you, obviously you do. Do you visualize? Do you have affirmations and do you pray? Do you do those things? Are you religious or spiritual person? The reality is for me, spirituality and religion are, they almost go hand in hand. Uh, because if you're spiritual, you're religious, or religious, you're spiritual to some level. But looking at this, I also look back and I go, you know what, man, there are some people, doesn't matter what they touch, it turns to gold. It just doesn't matter. And it seems like that from, I think, the outside, if you don't know what's really happened. So, what do you think it is that makes someone successful? I mean, when people look at some of these things, because I've been around enough individuals where, they'll look at something, they'll go, you're a multimillionaire. I should get paid more, or you're a multi. What did you deserve to get this? That person over there makes so much money and they didn't do anything. So I look at some of those things and I go, maybe there's some truth to some things, but it's also not totally true on the perception side on what people think. So, what makes someone successful? Is it that they're inherently gifted, that they were born as a leader, that they prayed so much that God gifted them something, or that they, said the affirmation so many freaking times that magic appeared, or that they visualized so much that their ideal home appeared, and so did their ideal wife and family and all that other shit. You know, is it that? What is it? Is it that luck?
No. Yeah, I think the majority of small businesses and the majority of business owners out there, I believe they have a different level of perseverance and grit. I know I keep coming back to that, but there are so many struggles. Like people don't realize the times I've almost been bankrupt 2, 3 times, right? I didn't make that much money until 7, 8 years ago. I've been in this for 17, 18 years, and it's just I failure was never an option. It's just not an option. When your back's against the wall, what are you going to do? It's having that risk tolerance. I think that's another big thing that a lot of people don't give a lot of business owners and entrepreneurial people credit for is you need to have a high level of risk tolerance because you need to. There's going to be times COVID, man. Talk about being shut down. It's different when you have a job. You can go and get some money. Okay, when you have 160, 170 employees and you have about $1.5 million a month in bills, and all of a sudden the government shuts you down, and you don't know what's going to happen the next day. Whew! I'm telling you, there was some. A lot of people folded, but a lot of people got gritty. And hindsight is one of the best things. I know there's a lot of horrible things about COVID. I'm not talking about that, but business wise, was one of the healthiest things that ever happened to me as a business because it made me kind of check every single thing I had. So I think it's kind of having that perseverance and grit to take struggles and hardships and turn them into successes. But you need to be able to fight and just not take no as an answer and figure that out. And I think so many business owners that have been in business a long time, I don't know one that hasn't had a situation like that where they've had to pivot, their back's been against the wall, and they just had to keep scrapping, fighting, and to ensure they come out the other side. And so many people don't see that. My employees didn't see that. There was times I was paying payroll on a credit card. My employees, I brought up the story 4 or 5 years ago at one of our Christmas parties, and I, they didn't. They had no idea. They came to me like, "You did that? What?" They had no clue. They had no clue what I was doing, what I was going on. I mean, I was sitting there wondering, "Am I going to make it? Can I make payroll?" And I hate to say, and I don't. I had no choice. One time I had to say, "Oh, the bank screwed up. Your payroll will be in tomorrow," just because I needed to go. I did a paid in full push the day before to get some paid in full memberships to get that money in the bank to pay our employees. I paid them a day late one time, and I had to do an honest little white lie. I shouldn't say honest. There's no such thing. I didn't want to eat crow. I didn't want them to panic. Right. You know.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the
You
reality.
know.
If they knew, if your risk tolerance wasn't where it was at, because most of the employees don't have that level of risk tolerance, and you said, by the way, I don't have the money to pay you guys, it's going to be a day late, or I'm paying you on credit card, what's going to go through their head?
Yeah,
They're going to go, is this guy going to last? I'm going to go look for another
I'm
job.
out of here.
And the next day you
Yep.
would be out of business because nobody's there to
Yep.
serve the customers.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, there's some stress, there's some grit, but it's having that perseverance, right? You got to have it. You got to have a high risk tolerance threshold to make it through those times. And that's a lot of things I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, people don't see and don't realize that. So, I mean, running a business it's great. I love it, but it's not for the faint of heart. It absolutely is not.
Last question for you, man, because I know you're busy. Um, who do you go to for advice?
I got my old COO, Jim Williams from Pizza out of Southern Wisconsin. It's been a couple months I've talked to him actually, but he's kind of the guy that found me when I was a delivery driver, drove me up, in the Pizza Hut business. He's one of the top guys. Then there's some key operators with Anytime Fitness that have been around a long time. They're kind of my sounding board. They're kind of my advisory board. So I've found those good people that help level me up, and they tap into me too. It's great. We have a great synergistic relationship. So having those people you can surround yourself with, but always make sure you're leveling up. That's, that's one thing. I think all these people are smarter than me, and it's great. It pushes me. They challenge me to make sure I'm making the right decisions, and I know I can always go to them, and they're honest. Find people that the people you surround yourself with got to be honest, not scared to be honest with you. So yeah, I've got my Jim Williams, my COO. I've got there's a couple. I'd say there's 6 operators with Anytime Fitness that pretty much once a month, every other month, I'm touching base with. When I got an issue, I got a challenge that I go to, kind of my go-to people.
I love that, man. I think that's important because a lot of people they'll stick with the same group of people that they have been talking to for years, and they go to for advice. It could be family or friends, and those family members or friends may not have taken the same kind of risk that person took. And so the advice they're getting is the same kind of advice they'd be getting to stay where they're at. Not the advice that they would need in order to grow and get past whatever challenge or plateau that they're at. Um, where can we find you, man? I mean, I know this is not, you know, you've got your businesses, and your businesses are really to your customers where they're coming in and using your facilities, your business, your gyms and base camp. But
Yeah.
where's the best way that people who are
Yeah.
listening to this, so they can find you?
If you're a gym owner, gym operator, fitness facility operator, I do have a private Facebook group, Gym Growth Secrets by Andy Gunlock. But you do have to be an owner operator or key operator to join that group. But Gym Growth Secrets by Andy Gunlock, definitely search for that group on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Andy Gunlock. Find me there. My gym members now, it's my consulting and my gym marketing company. We also offer full, 100% full turnkey from pre-sale to lease negotiation to operating a gym, 110%. We're your coaches. So we got a team of coaches on there, including myself. We put you with whatever expert. All the coaches on there have been with me 10 plus years. So we've seen it all, opening 30 different gyms in 30 different markets. Yeah, we definitely help anyone do that. That's gym members now. That's kind of my business where I help other gym operators. So definitely find me there. But Gym Growth Secrets by Andy Gilmock, definitely great group to join if you're a gym operator or gym owner. Check me out there. We got a lot of great content on there.
I love that, man. And anything else you want to add?
Hey, I keep saying it. If you're looking to get in the gym business, you're looking to own your own business, start your own business, have that perseverance and grit, have that high risk tolerance. It's a great industry. And if you're an operator, keep that going and keep killing it.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. That was Andy Gunlock. You want to subscribe to us, okay? Follow us, okay? Share it with the people, okay? Be a giver, all right? Thank you for joining. Andy, thank you. And we'll be seeing you guys soon.